Three, two, one. Welcome to Chapter 16. This is going to be the last set of videos regarding chapters for this book and this class. So hopefully you learned a lot over the past 15 or so chapters, and now we can get into something that's a little more usable in today's world, which are responsive designs. First off, let's talk about some layout strategies. A quick overview of some layout strategies are the fixed width layout, the fluid width layout, and the responsive layout. We'll go over the pros and cons of each of these and see a few examples of them. For fixed width layout, basically for a basic website, you have a fixed width. In this case, we're setting it at 800 pixels. Well, that's good for most basic developers, but the problem comes that when you're actually trying to resize your page, you notice that when the resizing happens, your page stays at the same width, and as soon as the resizing goes down, your page itself kind of goes off the side of the actual browser because it's set at a set width. This is good for some elements that need to require their perspective in order to stay a certain size. However, when it comes to overall websites, it's not the best technique because in today's world, you have different devices, different concepts, different environments that don't all respect the same width layout. Not everything has an 800 pixel width layout. For example, desktops, laptops, tablets, phones, other mobile devices, TVs, and even other items that may not even be conceived of today that may be introduced in the future. Not everything has the same width layout, so this is not the best technique to use. You could also use what's called a fluid width layout, which instead of setting a specific width, you can set basically a percentage. And this is good for a lot of cases that you want to have something relatively close in size to the actual browser width that is allowed to be displayed. However, the downside is that as soon as the browser is sized down or even has a smaller environment, everything gets scrunched down, and it's not exactly the best thing when it comes to text, images, or even larger information. So, while this may seem like an easy solution, it does have its cons when it comes to smaller resolutions. The best option nowadays is what's called responsive layout. Basically what happens is that as long as you have a width set for the maximum amount, and then as soon as your page is resized, it automatically changes things around based on the other width that is set. This is what's known as responsive layout and makes things a lot easier for developers. Instead of having to set different sizes and different style sheets for different environments, you can actually have the web page itself automatically resize, reorganize, restructure, and make things visible and invisible based on the browsing environment that is being viewed in, such as tablets versus cell phones, or cell phones versus desktops, or even desktops versus TVs. Based on how the sizing of the environment is set is how the information on the page will be laid out and scaled based on the available display size. That's the overall rundown of Chapter 16. Once we get into more in-depth videos, you'll see a little more about the details and examples of each of these, including some fixes, some workarounds, and even some comparative aspects about how to use responsive design. If you have any questions about this or anything in Chapter 16, please send me an email or hit me up on Twitter and I'll get back to you with the best possible answer.